Hello, everyone. My name is Lucian. Most of you know me from Twitter as Triangle Investor. In today's edition of CEO and Market Expert Interviews, I'm joined by Jon Bey, Standard Uranium CEO. Jon, you are for the first time in my show. Welcome. It is great to have you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to having this conversation with you. Thanks for the invite.
Same here. Let's start with your background, please. How did you end up in uranium?
Oh, that is a good question. So let's go back in time, 30, 40 years. I came out of university and I wasn't headed towards the stock market or in the mining space at all. I wanted to be a professional hockey player. I was playing university hockey and didn't work out like me and 99% of most people. The pros didn't quite make it. So my background in university, I did a kinesiology degree and an education degree. So I went right into teaching high school. Taught high school for about 10 years. Really, honed in on my skills of working with people and presenting and teaching. And I've taken that into the capital markets. So when I was around the age of about 35, I got sort of headhunted out of the school system into the private industry. And I got involved in a capital company that was going public. And it was a tech space. That was my first step into it. And then that was around 2005, 2006. And at that time, mining was really doing very well in Vancouver, where I'm from. And I got recruited to join a group of companies in Vancouver. And that was a combination of, some copper, some gold, silver, uranium. And I first got involved with a diamond company in Brazil and a gold company that was in Argentina. And then in our group of companies, this was called the Hamilton Resource Group. One of those companies was Forum Uranium. So I got to know Rick Mazer extremely well. We were in the same office. And during that time, we went through that. I was with them for about 3 or 4 years. We went through that nice uranium big bull market. And I was fortunate to be, there with Rick and watching the success he was having with Forum. And I really got the uranium bug. So fast forward a number of years, I got involved in, back and went into the oil and gas space for about 7 or 8 years, and then got drawn back into the mining space around 2017. Actually, today is the 6-year anniversary to the day of when I started Standing Uranium. So quite to have that. I got approached by an individual who said, look, what do you think about the uranium space in 2017? And at that point, look, it was dead. There wasn't much going on. The spot price was low, but we started looking into the future. Where is the uranium market going to be? Where is the nuclear fuel market going to be in 3 years, 5 years? And we thought, this is a great opportunity. It's a great time. So the individual brought to me the Davidson River project, who was at the time owned by an individual named Jody DeRouge. Now, Jody is a remarkable person, a good friend of mine now, a major shareholder of Standard. And Jody said, look, I've got the Davidson River project. I staked this back around 2007, 2008, when the first real discoveries were happening in that southwest corner. So we decided, look, the Davidson River project looks awesome. Let's build a company around it. And away we go from there. So we started Standing Uranium in 2017. And here we are now, 6 years later, and so much has happened. And I'm sure we'll get into a lot of that with you over the next bit of this conversation.
Definitely, and great background, Jon. Let's touch first on uranium market macro. Where do you think we are now in the bull cycle, and where do you see the market in a year or two from now?
Great question. I mean, look, I'm not going to predict the future for you here, but what I will tell you is, look, where we were 5 years ago to where we are now is remarkably different. The spot price, I think today I saw it was around $79. It was low 50s not too long ago. So look, it's really moved in the last 6 to 12 months. And that's super exciting because what's happening now is people are really starting to see the fundamentals kick in, and the supply, demand scenario is just remarkable. And there's no chance of, new supply coming on and for new mines coming for 5+ years. And look, we're very fortunate that we operate in the Athabasca Basin in Saskatchewan, and our flagship Davidson River sits, 25 kilometers to the west of NextGen's Arrow deposit, Rook 1, which is probably going to be Canada's next uranium mine. They just got their environmental permit from the Saskatchewan government last week, which is huge. That's going to be, building roads and airports and all the infrastructure 25 kilometers away from us. So we're really going to benefit from that, and our shareholders will as well. But back to your question, where is this market going?
Yeah.
I think we're still in the early stages. I think people are just starting to catch on. As you and I have discussed previously, this uranium market is so small. And I think the general population hasn't really caught on, but they're starting to. We're starting to see all these new funds start up that are getting into the uranium space, several in the last couple of years, but more keep coming. And that's great to see. The ETFs are building. I think we have 3 or 4 ETFs now in the uranium space, some for juniors. And we're starting to see the macro story go across globally. That whole nuclear fuel cycle and the nuclear industry is growing and growing, and people are starting to see globally that, look, we need to have clean energy. Nuclear is by far the best, and it's just a matter of the world understanding that it's safe and it's clean. It can be done at a reasonable price tag, and these reactors can last 70, 80, 100 years. And the whole market we're looking at now is really not even taking into effect the small modular reactor supply that's going to be coming and demand for those. So look, where we are now, I hear people talk about, the baseball analogy. We're in the first inning of 9 innings. I think we're probably getting up into that second and third inning now. We're starting to see momentum gain. The spot price is moving. The funds are getting behind it. We're starting to see, like, at least in the Athabasca Basin, the amount of new companies that are approaching, trying to get land positions, trying to plant their flag in the Athabasca Basin is starting to pick up. Now, I think there's probably less than 100 companies there right now. Going back in time to the last bull market, it went from like 50 companies to 500 in a period of about 1.5 to 2 years. I think we're starting to see that. But look, all the companies that have been around for the last number of years have really done a great job of staking up that good land. And there's not a lot of open ground in the Athabasca right now. And the companies that have it, look, they want to do deals on it. So there's a lot of companies now who are looking to do deals on the project they've staked. So that's another exciting part.
Yeah, we are seeing big changes with Standard Uranium, your company, in the last couple of months, and the change in business model. Can you explain to us, why did you decide for a prospect generator model for the company, and why do you think that is a better model than the previous pure exploration model?
Sure, it's a great question. And yeah, we have made the shift to the hybrid project generator back in July. And why did we do this? Well, it goes to the fact that, look, when we started this company, we had one project, the Davidson River, and then we expanded and we staked the Sundog project. And then in the last couple of years, we went and got our Eastern project. So we had 5, and then we've just staked 2 more projects, the Rocas and our Corvos. Look, we now have 7 or 8 projects. And reality is, look, to explore those projects costs a lot of money. In the last few years, we've been raising money, drilling. And these programs, it cost, $5 to $7 to $10 million a year to explore. So look, we got the feedback. Look, it's going back to the market every 6 months to raise money is challenging, and investors get tired of the constant dilution. So we looked around, we're very close friends with, Jordan Trimble over at Sky Harbor and Corey Bielik at Canalaska. And the project generator model was working well for them. The concept is, look, you take your flagship project, which is our Davidson River, and we hold on to that, and we explore on that ourselves. The other projects, we turn those into turnkey operations for partner JVs. So they look at that and they go, okay, so we're a company that maybe doesn't have any experience in the Athabasca Basin, but we see where uranium is going. We want to be in the Athabasca Basin. We're looking for an opportunity where we can get ourselves in there. And look, what does Standard have? They've got 5 or 6 projects that are up for opportunity to JV. They supply the whole technical team to run the program, which is amazing. They have permits already in place to do all the work, which are not easy to get. They've got First Nations agreements on all their projects completed, ready to go. They've got all the vendors lined up, the drillers, the helicopters, the workers, everything's lined up. Standard Uranium can run these projects soup to nuts for them. All they have to do is be good people with a good company and some cash that want to work with us. So look, since we started this in July, our phone's been ringing off the hook. We've had, a number of tire kickers. Obviously, we pushed those aside. We've had some very serious companies come in. We've completed our first deal on our Sundog project. We actually had one company make an offer on us, and then a second better company came along and kicked those guys out with a better offer. So that's fantastic news that the demand is there. Our Canary project will get done next. We've signed a term sheet on that, and we hope to complete before the end of 2023. That's already $15 million on deals going into 2024. We are a small company at this point, 10 million market cap. We have a goal for 2024 to have over $40 million in deals done on our projects for 2024. And that's going to be $7 to $10 million in exploration spend on our projects, most of that funded by our JV partners. So yeah, the model's working extremely well. We're really happy, and we love the opportunity to advance our projects with our technical team, and our shareholders are going to have big success with that model.
Okay, but Jon, do you believe that this will re-rate your stock? I mean, you are a 12, 13 million market cap company, which seems undervalued with a company with 8 projects. So do you believe that this model will eventually re-rate the price of your stock?
I completely do. I think what's happening right now is people are waiting to see if we can actually pull this off. People are, hesitant. They want to see, can these guys actually pull this off? And I believe the answer is yes. we've got one deal done. That's going to start drilling on our Sundog project in the end of February through April. The Canary deal will be done next. That'll be drilling in May, and we want to get deals done on probably Atlantic or Asent and possibly half of our Davidson River project, as well as our Corvo and Rocas early stage. We may do those ourselves or bring a partner in to work on those. So look, will we get re-rated once these deals start happening? I 100% believe so. Not only are we going to have our technical team working on drill programs for 10 to 11 months of the year, we're going to have complete news flow and marketing to match that. We're going to be able to come out with videos and interviews and updates and news releases throughout the entire year from drill program to drill program. That alone is going to be wonderful. Now, how do I see this compared to our peers? Look, Sky Harbor is a great example. Jordan's done a wonderful job sort of building that portfolio up of the projects they have. He currently has a market cap of about $85 million for Sky Harbor. They have, as a matter of fact, they've got $85 million in deals across 8 projects on their company. We believe we can get our projects up to about $40 million in deals in 2024. Does that mean our market cap could be $40 million? I don't know. It might. We'll see how it re-rates, but I think there's a good possibility. And we just have to execute on the plan we've laid out in front of us right now.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Let's discuss projects, all 8 you have in your portfolio. We will start with your flagship project, Davidson River. Can you give us a short overview of the project, and please give us the exploration plan for this project going forward?
Sure. So the Davidson River project is really unique. It sits in the southwest corner of the Athabasca Basin. So if you were able to show a map of the basin, you would see the southwest corner. And who's there right now? Well, look at the flagship of anyone in that region is NextGen. They have their Rook 1 Arrow project. It's 25 kilometers to our east. It sits on the Patterson Lake Conductor. Our theory was that same conductor, which also hosts Fission's Triple R project and Purepoint Spitfire, they all sit in that same conductor, which run east to west, and it runs right into the Davidson River project. So our theory from the beginning was, look, we believe that same conductor is going to run through the Davidson River, and it has great potential to host another world-class uranium deposit. So our model from the start, we had to acquire that project, and then we had to do all the work to begin drilling. So there was 0 drilling done on that project when we acquired it. It's kind of an interesting story how it was acquired, and that's for another conversation perhaps. But look, the Davidson River project has got, first thing we did in 2018 and 2019 is we started doing the geophysics. You want to find out if it has those conductors, the graphitic conductors, which is the exploration model across these things. The Athabasca Basin, a lot of it is undercover, and that means that you won't have any outcrop. So you've got to be able to figure out, where is that uranium? And in this part of the world, that uranium will sit in these conductors. Now, there's conductors in this part are actually graphitic. So what we did with the geophysics, we identified 26 conductors running sort of from the northwest to the southeast across our project. And then we had that analyzed, and we came up with 4 major conductors. The first one being our Warrior and our Saint and our Thunderbird. And we said, look, let's go after those projects. Let's start doing some drilling. So we started drilling in 2020. Now, 2020 is an interesting time because that's the time we took the company public. So right up to that point, we were private. We did a capital raise in May of 2020, went public, and we brought on an individual named Sean Hilliker to our team. Some of you who've seen our videos know who Sean is. He came to us from NextGen Energy. Sean spent 5 years with NextGen. He did his master's degree on the Arrow deposit, took them up to the feasibility. So their feasibility report, he wrote the technical part of that. So look, if anyone's going to know what rocks to look for in our project, it was Sean. So he came on, started leading our exploration team with Neil McCallum, who has been with DeRouge for 20 plus years and also a specialist in uranium and lithium. And the two of them, we hired out our internal team, and we've been drilling Davidson River for the past few years. And look, what are we seeing? We're seeing all the stuff that you want to see on these projects without making that major discovery yet. And look, discoveries take time. They don't happen overnight. You've got to do the work. You've got to drill it. You've got to get that data. What are we seeing? We're seeing that structure. We're seeing the rock formations, the same rocks that Sean saw over at NextGen, and we're seeing small amounts of uranium in there, and we're seeing the fluids destruction of those graphitic corridors, and that's what we want to see. Now we just need to vector in and make that discovery. And I will point out, look, besides Arrow to the right of us, up north of us, directly about another 20 kilometers is F3 with their JR zone. It's another part of our exploration model is proving that, look, we believe there's uranium on the western side of that Clearwater domain. And JR zone discovery by F3 is a great example of, yes, there are world-class uranium deposits on this side as well. And look, I was talking to Ray Astley. at the Red Cloud event last week in Toronto, and we talked about their discovery and how long they actually worked at it. They started drilling that program, exploring it over 10 years ago, and they were persistent and they kept going. And the rocks that they were looking at was exactly what we're seeing now. They just honed in on it and continued to drill it until they made that discovery. So we have all the confidence in the world that we're going to keep on drilling, exploring, and find that high-grade discovery on our Davidson River project. And that's why it's our flagship and why we want to hold on to it.
Okay, you will drill this property again in spring, summer, right? How many meters is planned for this drilling campaign, and do you have the budget for it?
Yes and yes, and the final budget is not yet set. So currently, we're going to go out and do this 2 million raise, which we can talk about in a bit, and we're going to have partners coming in and funding all the exploration on our different projects. And will we have the budget by June, July to do the Davidson River? That is the plan. At this point, the budget's not there, but the plan is to have those funds in place come July. So do we want to drill it? How many meters? Look, minimum, it'll be 5,000 meters. What we'd like to do is do something north of that, somewhere between 5 to 10, depending on what the budget is and the timeline and the availability of all the people we need to do. Ideally, we would like to divide that Davidson River project in half, take the 2 conductors to the northeast to ourselves and have a JV partner work the 2 on the southwest. And by that point, we could have those guys fund their half as well as keep the cost down for ourselves. So look, we could have 2 drill programs going on Davidson River this summer, and we're currently in discussions with 2 pretty serious companies about making that a reality. So look, will we have the funding in place to do that drilling? I strongly believe we will, and we will be drilling Davidson. I'm aiming for July, August, September as a timeline for the Davidson River to get drilled, and potentially both projects, the southwest and the northeast.
Okay, John, do you know approximate drilling costs there? I mean, what did you have before, and what do you expect in this next drilling campaign? What were the drilling costs going to look like? Did they went sharply higher? Are they higher? Are they lower? Can you expand on that?
I think, look, in the last year and a half or so, inflation's come up, and even going back a little bit longer than that, we're starting to see the price go up because there was such demand on drilling companies and vendors. The prices started to tick up. Look, we believe a budget of about $2.5 to $3 million will get us that drill program that we're looking for at Davidson River. So that's a decent amount of money to spend, and it's going to get us some pretty good results at that for that number of drill holes anyway.
Yeah. I meant drilling per meter. What's the cost?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, depending on what's part of the conductor you're on, depending on how deep you are and the amount of sandstone over top of that, you've got to really drill through that. And some drilling costs can be, I don't want to put a number on it right now.
Okay,
because
I get it.
Yeah.
John, do you know how many meters were drilled so far on the property, or how much money was it spent up till today on this project? Do you know that data?
Yeah, it's probably between just over $12 to $13 million we spent on Davidson River so far. Just south of probably 30,000 meters, I think, is the number we've got there. No, sorry, that's not correct. Sorry, we've got just under 40 holes there. So I'll have to check the exact numbers on that, but we'll get back to
Okay, approximate numbers. Never mind. So you said all permits are in place for Davidson River.
That is correct. Yeah, across most of our projects, actually, drilling permits. So if you look across our whole portfolio of projects, our Sundog to our Atlantic, Canary, and Asent and Davidson River, they are all permitted to drill right away.
Yeah, and you mentioned the deposits that are near to your property. What kind of deposits do you hope to find there? Are you targeting like next gen deposit or F3 like you mentioned, or maybe a little bit smaller deposit or different, geologically different? Can you expand on that, please?
Sure. So we are looking to create a deposit or define the deposit. It's very similar to NextGen's Arrow, and that is a basement hosted deposit. So we want that to be the type of deposit we're looking for. And that's the same type of rocks we're going into right now. So will it be the same size of that? Well, who knows? That's one of the best deposits in the entire world. So do we believe that area has the potential? It sure does. Can we find it? We sure hope so. It's got the potential. So that's what we're looking for. We want to find deposits that actually, when you find them, they will be economic to actually build a mine. Now, are we going to build a mine? Definitely not. We are an exploration team. But look, NextGen's building a mine and a mill 25 kilometers to the east. Would we be a phenomenal takeout target? Should we make a discovery? You sure bet we would. It'd be remarkable.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense, definitely. Okay, let's move more to on the north, to your Sundog project. You have signed a definitive option agreement recently. What can you tell me about this deal? What are the terms and timelines?
Yeah, so this is a 3-year deal. It's a JV earn-in with a private group. That private group has got some other ideas, which they'll be coming out with for news in the near future. So I can't speak to what their plan is, but look, for us, it allows us to have a 3-year deal on the Sundog project where we'll get a combination of cash and shares and work commitment and be the operator to get an operator fee on top of that for this project. They can earn up to 100% on this project. And this one is very unique. It's not like any of our other deals. And I can't speak to that just yet until the private company announces what's happening there. And then I'll be able to give more details on that. But for us, look, they're going to work that project for a minimum of 2 years before they earn any percent of it at all. So if they walk away after a year or year and a half, we get 100% of the project back. Now, right away, they've made a payment to us of $200,000 in cash. There'll be $200,000 of shares, and the spending on the project will be a minimum of $1.5 million, hopefully closer to $2 million on the drill program this winter. And on top of that, we have a 10% fee, which we charge to operate and run that project for them. So look, year one, it's going to be wonderful to have work continuing on in that region. Our team will be up there working. We'll get paid cash shares and the operator fee, and we're going to drive that project forward. It's an incredible area. I think people are going to start to take notice of the Uranium City region over the next year. It's going to become a really hot area, and you're going to be hearing about a number of companies up there doing work. So we're excited that we were in there early and got started on it, and we've opened up that area for new companies to come in.
Got it, got it. But Jon, why selling this project? Why this project does not fit in your prospect generator model?
So majority of our projects that we're going to do deals on, we will maintain at least 25% going forward. This one is unique, and I can't tell you exactly why, but that will become apparent over the next few months as this private company develops into something else. And then you'll see our overall strategy for that one as well. So it's a unique one compared to our other projects.
Got it. At what stage is actually this project? What work has been done on the project so far? I mean, how advanced is this project?
It's early stage. So when we acquired it, it had some historic work done on before, some drilling by previous companies. We went up there, we did some, sampling on the ground, and we had, found rock samples of 3.5% uranium on the surface. This whole region was Canada's original uranium mining area. It was called Uranium City, and there was multiple mines in this region. Now they were mining stuff close to surface, lower grades, called the Beaver Lodge type deposits. And what we want to do is try to find something not only in that area, but look at the unconformity and also in the basement rocks. Could there be something much bigger up there? We believe there could be. So we went up there. We've done 2 drill programs. Both of them are done in the winter. You have to do it when the Lake Athabasca freezes. So you build ice roads and you drive across. It gives you a window of about 6 weeks to actually do the work, which is not a long time. So you got to get in there and hope the weather cooperates. The first year, the weather was wonderful. We were able to get really good results. The second year, last winter, the weather was horrible, and we had major issues with weather and the ice breaking up, and it was just a nasty environment. So this year we want to go back and hope the weather is more cooperative, and we'll get up there and do the drill program in the winter. We now have multiple land targets as well as ice targets, and there's also stuff that can be done there in the summer now as well. So that area is going to become more exciting as the year and next few years play out.
Okay, you have a similar thing with Canary project. I mean, it is under the option agreement, right?
Yes, almost. Okay. We've got term sheet out, the definitive agreement we hope to sign before the end of 2023, and that drill program will begin in hopefully May of 2024.
But what are the terms of this deal?
Yeah, so the terms will be similar, except we're going to keep 25% of that project for ourselves. So the new operator, the new company coming in can earn up to 75%. And what they'll do is it's a 3-year earn-in. They'll spend $1 million on the ground. It's $100,000 of cash to us, $100,000 in shares, and we will be the operator once again for 10% fee. Now those fees get steeper as you go into years 2 and years 3. It works out to about a $6 million commitment over the 3 years. Now, once we get to the end of the 3 years, if it's successful and they want to advance it and they want to take it over completely, they have to complete a full feasibility study. And at that point, if that valuation of that project is big enough, they have the right to buy that last 25% off us. Now, look, for something to be that big and be worthwhile to do that, we're thinking it would be somewhere in the hundreds of millions of dollars for the value of that. So a nice payback to Standard Uranium should they go that far.
Okay, one same question like for Sandok. What work has been done on this project so far?
So this one has not been drilled by us. So it's been just, we did the geophysics and we've lined it up for the first ever drill program for our team. So look, we've got some great geophysics targets that have been lined up in the last year. It's now fully permitted. The First Nations agreements are in place. Our technical team is ready to go and to do the first drill program this spring.
Okay, Jon, tell me more about Atlantic project, exploration status, plans.
Sure. So it's very similar. So the Atlantic, the Canary, and the Asent are all very similar stages, ready to be drilled by us for the first time. The Atlantic one sits right on the highway. It's actually, the highway runs right through our project. That project was operated before by Denison, and they put out some reports on what they found there. And in their own report, they talk about how their drilling just missed the conductors. So we believe, you know, from the further geophysics we've done, we've got some really nice targets identified, and that the new operator who comes in there with us will have the opportunity to drill that out and see what's there. So another great opportunity to go in that region. And that project is surrounded by ISO energy. They've got the claims all around us, and the Hurricane deposit is just to the south of us as well. So what we're looking for is that same type of deposit like the Hurricane. So there is great potential for that same type of deposit in that region, and we're hoping to find that with one of those three projects on the east.
Yeah, please, and a short overview of your Asent project, if you could say, please.
The Asent project?
Yes.
Yeah, it's very similar. It's we did the geophysics as well. We've lined it up. It's got some great targets. We've got some information which we're going to put onto our website for investors that want to take a look at that. We've got individual fact sheets for each project which break down the geophysics, show pictures of what we're seeing from the geophysics and where those drill targets are going to line up. So look, another one that's very similar to the other two. It's a similar ask for the JV partner to come in, spend $1 million minimum on drilling it for year one, some 100,000 in cash, 100,000 in shares, and we will be the operator and run it all for you. So it's we've got interest on both of those projects with CA signed right now. Some of those companies are from Australia, some of them are from Canada, one's from the US. And look, we're firmly in the belief that we're going to get deals done on these projects and have those advancing in 2024. So it's really exciting for us, for our technical team, and for our shareholders to know that, look, we're going to see a lot of work being done this year, and it's going to be remarkable to have these projects all getting explored.
Yeah, you have two more, if I remember correctly, Rocas and Corvo.
Right. I know we've got a lot. Sorry, we're taking a lot of time here. So
no problem. Please expand a little bit on Corvo project and Rocas, and then we will go from there.
So these two projects are brand new to us. So we actually stake these ourselves and own these 100% ourselves, like all our projects. And these are in the southeast part of the eastern side. So those projects are, we spent the last year doing the geophysics. We spent the last year staking those and getting those lined up for geophysics for 2024. So what we want to do this year is get our team to site, do some ground exploration, do some geophysics, and have those ones ready for 2025 to be drilled, to have all the permits in place for drilling, the First Nations agreement signed, and have those turnkey ready for 2025. So we're going to spend the money on those ourselves. We want to get those moved along from, just staking to the next stage up where they're really attractive for an opportunity for a JV partner to come in. So for us, we see great value for our shareholders to stake something, advance it so it's turnkey ready, and then get a deal done, get it explored, and have the upside for our shareholders.
Jon, is there any good land available for staking in the Athabasca?
I would say blanket wise, probably not. But what happens is when companies stake land, they have a 2-year period where they can sit on it and do nothing. And after that 2-year period, they have to have actually spent money or they have to let it go. So what we're seeing is companies that came in 2 years ago that staked a whole bunch of land and couldn't raise money or didn't bother to work their project, they have to release those. So what we're seeing now is every month, new pieces of lands are becoming available. And those are the only lands that are available for staking that have potentially good quality land. So right now, there are those people that know what they're doing on the staking side. And every time new land comes up that looks interesting, there's what we call a staking party, and everybody's on their computers trying to stake it. All the staking is done electronically. So you've got to be able to go on there, identify it, and put in your request. And we're seeing all the same companies in there trying to get these pieces of land. And it's the ones who've been around for a while that have been doing it. So it's, we all know each other. So it's kind of funny when you see who got the land and who beat you by 1 second for a piece you wanted. And then you try to do deals. Like, for example, one of our projects, we just announced a deal with Eagle Plains because they beat us by 1 second on half the land we wanted for one of our projects. So we just did a deal with them, and now we own a bigger chunk of that.
Yeah, Eagle Plains has a lot of land in the northern part of Athabasca.
Yeah, I think they have some sort of algorithm figured out to get these lands because they're always in there first getting the pieces. So we'll have to address that over a few beers.
Yeah. Jon, you mentioned First Nations. So you have a good relation on all your projects with First Nations, and you said you have agreements with them on all your projects.
Correct. So when we first started the company, our flagship was the Davidson River. So that sits in the Clearwater River Dene Nation lands in the southwest corner. So that region is, the chief in that region, his name is Chief Clark. And first thing I did when I started the company is hop on a plane and go visit Chief Clark and say, hey, Chief, I'm Jon Bey. I run a company called STND. We want to actually work with you on your land. Would you be open to us working with you? And he's a pretty gregarious guy, pretty outspoken, and he's a wonderful man. So once you get to know him, so we had a few good meetings and we struck up a deal. And look, we now operate out of Big Bear Camp in just north of La Loche, which is run by the Clearwater River Dene Nation. The same people that use that camp are Fission Uranium F3. So we all spend time together in that camp working on our projects and get to know each other quite well. So look, we worked out a deal with the CRDN. They've got a great engagement team led by Cam Willier. And look, we see them constantly. We're often, working out things with them, how we can assist them, how we can employ their people, how we can bring vendors in that support their model. And it's been a wonderful relationship. And we work with them and everywhere we go. Now that's in the southwest corner. For our other projects, there is a group called the Yathanini. Now, they are a governing body that brings in multiple First Nations communities and groups, and they all sign on to one agreement. And what you do by signing a deal with them, they help you with all the different First Nations groups in your region. So started off with Sundog, and now they work on the sort of the northeast and southeast side. So all our projects on that side also fall under the Yathanini lands as well. So we've signed an initial agreement to sort of work in there, and then we signed an exploration agreement, which is the next step up. So we now have an exploration agreement signed on those projects, which is a really high level for a junior exploration company like ours. I know we get a lot of commendations from some of our peer companies, larger ones, saying, well done, guys. You guys are one of the leaders in getting this done and showing how things should be done. And I will say that, look, if you talk to the people at the CRDN or the Athanini and ask them about Standard Uranium, they'll say we are one of their best companies they like working with, because we come to them, we're proactive, we help get deals done, and we support them, and we're always there when they need us to sort of help on speak on their behalf.
That's good to hear, Jon. Definitely. What is your M&A strategy, so to say, for the company? I know that you are a prospect generator now. So is your prospect generator path started, or do you plan to expand it a little bit more? What's the future plan for that prospect generator model?
Great. So the future plan is, we are going to continue to stake land. So whenever a new opportunity arises in the Saskatchewan Athabasca Basin, things open up every month. We see a new piece of land. If it's something that we think it's interesting, we're going to try to stake that. Now, some of these things will have work done in the past, some of them won't. And our model is stake it for cheap and then go explore it, advance it up to a stage where we think it'll be in great position for a JV partner to come in and work with us. Okay,
that's staking. But what about buying land, buying projects from other companies? Are you open for that option?
I'm not going to say no, but it's not on our high priority. Look, we've got projects, we've got a technical team that are going to be very busy, and there's only so much we want to take on. I think we've got a really good opportunity in front of us right now that I want to focus my team on completing this mission and doing a great job with it. So our exploration team are going to be very busy working all these projects. Our corporate team, myself, my CFO, our back-end guys, look, we're busy enough as it is. So are we in the process of buying other projects? No. Buying projects is going to cost money and capital shares. I think we've got the business plan we want to stick to right now.
Yeah, okay. Like you said before, you announced recently a private placement for up to I think 2 million Canadian. Where is that money going? And if you could clarify in the terms of percentages of how much of that money is going in the ground.
Yeah, I would say, look, the $2 million is a small amount. And look, could we take more than that right now? We sure could. But the where our share price is right now, we didn't want to dilute too much. We know we want to have a good balance sheet going into 2024. We're going to have cash coming from our JV partners coming in as well. And as we go to look towards Davidson River in the spring, there may be other opportunities there. But right now, this capital raise, it's a 5-cent hard dollar unit, which is you get a share and you get half a warrant. And that warrant is 9 cents for 24 months. Or there's a flow-through option where you can get a flow-through share for 6 cents. Then there's a charity flow-through option, which is at 7.5 cents. Each of those comes with a half warrant, which is good for 24 months at 9 cents.
Okay, got it. So that money will get you through the winter until the exploration starts. Okay, got it.
Exactly. And where will that money be spent? The $2 million. So look, we've got some debts from previous exploration in 2023. We want to clean up. We've got some G&A going forward for the next 6 months, and then we've got some exploration work we want to do on our project. So probably I'd say 75% of this raise will be flow through or charity flow through, and probably 25% hard dollars. So look, we want to move on the Rocas and Corvos, get those, the geophysics and some work done there. And we'll put some money possibly towards some other exploration work and maybe put some of that towards Davidson River.
Jon, do you see any difficulties in raising money? Or the interest in uranium companies is big, so there is no problem in raising money, or do you see some challenges?
Let me put this very clearly. There's always challenges. Even when the markets, well, let's go back in time. Last 6 months, it's been absolutely brutal. We wanted to raise money back in the spring, but going back into 2023, it was an absolute horrific year for trying to raise capital for any projects, unless at the time you were in lithium. But uranium market has now turned. Since September, we're starting to see a real good uptick. And now we're getting investors reaching out to us, say, look, let us know when you're doing a capital raise. We want to be involved. And of course, the flow-through funds, they've got to deploy some of that flow-through capital. So now is a very good time at the end of the year to take in a bit of money. We didn't want to take in too much because we anticipate the market's going to get even hotter as we go into 2024. And as we prove out our business model and actually hit the milestones we've laid out, our share price is going to appreciate as well. We want to show people that we can actually do this. And I think once the confidence is gained that we're actually executing, our share price is going to move up the way it should.
Okay. Can you give me some details about the share structure? How many shares do you have outstanding? How many shares is held by insiders? How many by big money retail?
Yeah, it's when we started this company, it was a lot of different groups were in there, and now as we now have 183 million shares out, which is, it's not massive amount, but it's not a small amount. It's probably in that sort of medium spot there. Is it a lot? Yeah, but is it unreasonable? No, not at all. You compare some of our peers that have got much larger amount, people in Australia that are 10 times that. Look, it's a number is a number, but who are the shareholders? So we've had a number of early investors who came in, some of the uranium funds that I think are quite noticeable across the board. You can see those in our presentation. They're all listed out there. We've had a number of Canadian flow-through funds come in. We had a big portion of the market turned to the retail side. So back you go in time when Sprott first opened their fund and came in and started buying, the uranium market took off and our share price took off. And we had at the time we were drilling a lot and we had a lot of marketing going on. We had a lot of retail people came in and they bought at the high. So look, since that time the market's come off and our share price has come down, and some of these flow-through funds, you get their money and then they hammer the shares out and your share price gets beat up by that. So look, our share price has been beat up pretty good and we're down to the point now where it's probably our lowest. This is the lowest point we've done a capital raise in the history of the company. So for us, we think it's a wonderful time for anyone that's interested, that's an accredited investor, to come along and invest with us right now. This raise, all our directors and all our management are participating as well. We're all getting positioned because we believe this 5-cent raise is a great time to get involved with this company.
Okay, tell me please more about your team. How many people are in your team and who are they?
Okay, so myself as the CEO and the chairman, our CFO is a gentleman named Sean McGraw, who I've worked with for previous companies for the past 20 years. We use a back-end accounting firm that does sort of our accounting and books. And then we go to our technical team. So in the Saskatoon, we have our technical office, which is led by Sean Hilliker. Sean has a couple of other geologists working with him there. They are very strong geologists that he's hired personally and brought them onto our team that he's worked with at NextGen, and some come from Denison. So look, great technical team, which we continue to add to. So I encourage people to meet with us and get to know our team. We also have a board of directors, which is made up of corporate people and geologists. Some people from Australia who are familiar with the company called Vimy Resources. Mike Young was their founder and CEO for 8 years. Mike left the uranium space when he left Vimy, but he joined our board because Mike and I are good friends and he believes in the uranium space. We have Neil McCallum, who also is a director from day one. Neil comes to us from DeRouge. Jody DeRouge recommended him to me when we acquired the Davidson River project, and Neil's a remarkable technical geologist, works closely with our technical team. Zoya Shashkova is a Kazakhstani lady who is comes from the finance world. She was a CFO for Uranium One in Kazakhstan, so she sits on our audit committee. And then we have two individuals, Ken Judge and Blair Jordan, both individuals I've worked with for many years. Ken is a corporate M&A lawyer. He's Australian but lives in Europe. And Blair Jordan lives in Vancouver. He is a banker, ex-lawyer, works in the capital markets. So they bring governance and capital markets to our team. I think I've covered off my whole board there for you.
Great. Final question, Jon. Please give us some possible timeline of news flow in the next 6 to 8 months. From which project can we expect news when?
Great. So that's a wonderful question. And let me wrap up by saying, look, we've got a lot of news flow coming. So what we'd like to see done, here we are, today's, November 20th. We would like to see the definitive agreement signed on our Canary project before the end of 2023. As we head into 2024, we will start to see news flow coming out of the exploration project. So the first one that's marked to actually occur for sure is our Sundog. That'll begin at the end of February and drill through March and into early April. We have our Atlantic project, which we are in discussions. We would like to see the Atlantic one actually work first, starting sort of late January, heading into February. If we can get that deal done in time, if we can't get the deal done before, early January, we'll push that one to the spring. As we sort of go from the northwest and we sort of work our way east. So we go from Sundog down to the eastern side. We leave Sundog and we go to Canary. So once we get to the definitive sign, that project will be in May, June. We may send some guys into Rocas and Corvo to do some geophysics and some groundwork for that sort of right after Canary's done. And then we'll come right over to the southern west part where Davidson River will begin in mid-June, right up into probably the end of August, early September. And then we could go back and work either Asent or Atlantic, or even go back up to Sundog and do some work there in the fall. So there's a lot of work to be done, a lot of details still to be hammered out. We haven't got the full exploration program lined in, and it's changing as the new JV partners sign the definitive agreements. We have a ballpark rough outline, and we're hoping that those things all come together.
Okay. That was Jon Bey, Standard Uranium CEO. Jon, thank you for coming to my show. I wish you luck with all your projects and looking forward to talk soon and update investors on the progress. Thank you, Jon.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed speaking to you today, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you.